It's always interesting to see a film as an adult that really scared you when you were a kid. Why did it scare you so much? And does it still scare you now as an adult? That's the topic for today's episode. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. This is not my closet full of all the stuff that I love, but we will persevere anyways. Today, 2 slices of 1950s science fiction that scared the bejesus out of a very young and impressionable little Kazdoy closet. One of these films was actually the inspiration for the 1979 hit Alien, plus later, a special guest. The first film that really scared me as a kid, Invaders from Mars, from 1953. This is about a little boy who's about 10 or 11, and he believes that a spaceship has landed just outside his house, and it's filled with aliens who are going to take over the minds of Earthlings. The director was William Cameron Menzies. He was really best known as a production designer or an art director, and he worked on films like The Thief of Baghdad and Gone with the Wind and Things to Come. In fact, he was the first person to ever win an Oscar for art direction. He also won an Oscar for his art direction on Gone with the Wind. He designed the Atlanta burning sequence along with many other sequences in that film. He was very good with art direction and production design. Not so good with actors, so the acting is a little bit wooden in a lot of the film. Interestingly, the cinematographer was John Seitz. He also worked on Double Indemnity and Sunset Boulevard. The cast, Leif Erikson is the dad, and you probably know him best from a lot of TV work he did. And but the main actor is Jimmy Hunt, and he's the little boy, and it's really told from his point of view. And he really carries the film. He does a pretty good job. He also makes a cameo appearance in the 1986 remake of Invaders from Mars, but we're not going to talk about that one. So why did this film scare me as a kid? Probably because, I was about 10 or 11, and the main character, the little boy in the film, is about 10 or 11 too, and nobody believes what he's telling them. His parents are really friendly and nice to him, but then when they are taken over by the aliens, they become very cold. His father even slaps him in the face. That's pretty scary, and you're watching this as a 10-year-old kid. And it's also that feeling of abandonment, that your parents aren't really who you thought they were. There's also a sand pit that's just outside his house. You can see it with a telescope, and that's where people fall in, and that's where the spaceship is, underneath the sand. It's also very dreamlike and very surreal, and this film is actually in color, just like you can see on the cover here. Does it scare me now? No, not really. Now as an adult, I noticed some animation that was used. I noticed that a lot of the backgrounds are painted, and that gives it the surreal and dreamlike quality. I also noticed the wooden acting and the scenes where the mutants pick up a person, and you can tell it's a dummy, and they throw the dummy, and then it cuts to the actor looking up from the floor. And so as a kid, you believe that they really threw him, but of course as an adult, you go, oh boy, that looks fake. But it's still kind of fun to watch. They also use a lot of stock footage. Now, you probably know what that is. That's just footage that's been laying around. It's usually of planes in the air, or planes taking off, or tanks coming down the road. And when it shifts to that, it always looks different than the rest of the film. And they use a lot of that with the military coming in on tanks and the soldiers arriving. And to be honest with you, when I watched this again the other night, I fast forwarded through that because they got the marching music and they have the tanks coming, and it's a little bit boring, and the shift in how it looks is pretty amazing. Special effects, they're fun. They have 2 main mutants. One of them was 8'6". He was the tallest man in the world, actually, and the other actor was 7'7", and he was the same actor who played the robot Gort in a much superior film called The Day the Earth Stood Still. That's what it's called. One of my favorite films, actually. And the last 15 minutes is really good. It really shows off the sci-fi look of the 1950s. So what's on this disc? Well, there's not too much. There are 2 versions. One is the US version, one's the UK version. Spoiler alert, the US version implies that this whole thing was a dream the little boy dreamed up. Or was it? This is the collector's edition, or a special edition, and somehow this is going for $99 on Amazon. You can also find this in like a 4-film DVD set for $50. I haven't seen it being available for rent anywhere. There's no Blu-ray of it, and I really like this cover art. Sometimes I think I like this poster here more than I like the film itself. So before we get to the next film that really scared me as a kid, a special guest. Okay, everybody, we have a special guest star today. Ian, come on in, Ian.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I have 4 questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, what film really scared you as a kid?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Ah, the 1993 Tim Burton stop-motion animation classic. And why did that film scare you?
It was the mayor, actually, which is funny because he's not a villain or an antagonist in any way. He's actually one of the good guys, but he's got 2 faces, and he has a smiling face on the front, and then he'll swivel around when he gets nervous and have this scared-looking, dead white face with shark teeth on the back. And something about the switch and the sudden scary-looking face, even if it's not an actual scary aspect of him, was really terrifying to me.
And when his head turned, it made some kind of a clicking or mechanical sound or something like that?
Yeah, he sounds kind of like a clockwork doll or something. It's unsettling.
Okay, good choice. All right, and watching that film again as an adult, did you still find it scary or not?
No, what was funny is that when I watched it again several years later, I loved it and became one of those Nightmare Before Christmas kind of hot topic, obsessed sort of people. Oh, so a complete 180 on it from the first time I saw it when I was very little.
Okay, cool. And my final question today is, today you took the VIP tour of the Kazdoy closet. What did you think? Was it everything you hoped and dreamed it would be? Come on, get out of here, kid. All right, thanks, Ian. Thanks for stopping by. The second film that really scared me as a kid was It, The Terror from Beyond Space. It's from 1958. Now this takes place in the far, far distant future, 1973. There is a manned rocket ship that got marooned on Mars. So they sent another rocket up there with people on it and to rescue this ship. Turns out only one guy is still alive. They figure he must have killed all the other guys. But it turns out there's a monster. There he is on the front. And he gets on the new ship now, too, and he starts picking them off one by one. The director was Edward L. Kahn. Mostly made low-budget horror films, low-budget crime films. The lead actor is Marshall Thompson. He did a lot of TV work, but really became known best for the TV show Daktari. The writer was Jerome Bixby. Now, Jerome Bixby wrote a lot of original Star Trek episodes and original Twilight Zone episodes. So why did this scare me as a kid? Well, it's very claustrophobic because you have the monster on the ship and he's breaking through each level. They have a hatch, a metal hatch on each level of the spaceship, and he's busting through each one. So it's very claustrophobic, and that's very effective and kind of scary as a kid. And the monster's face is kind of glistening, and he has kind of a bat-like features, as you can see, with the fangs and the ears and stuff. And I just remember as a kid, this film just would pop up suddenly out of nowhere. And it's like, did I dream that film? Did it actually happen or not? The film's only an hour and 9 minutes long. And I also remember, for some reason, the image of the monster climbing up and down the metal stairs, trying to attack the other crew members. Just one of those images that sticks in your mind from a film. And nothing seems to hurt the monster either, so that's pretty scary too. Now, does It, The Terror from Beyond Space, scare me now? Not really. It's the monster is revealed bit by bit, which is pretty smart, but it's only an hour and 9 minutes, so of course you can't wait too long. And when you do finally see him, it's a guy in a rubber suit. I realize that now. As a kid, I didn't really realize that. There are some laughable parts, like you have the crew members on the rocket ship sitting around a big table smoking cigarettes. That's kind of funny. But it is pretty much an efficient, fast-paced monster film. Now, the connection with the film Alien from 1979 is, well, this is cited as an inspiration for that film. In fact, this is cited as an inspiration for a lot of those films where it has an alien stowaway on a rocket ship. So what's on this disc? Well, you have a trailer, and that's about it. You can still get this DVD. It looks a little bit different now for about $10. The Blu-ray's about $30. You can also rent this one. Here's a warning, though. Both those films, this one and Invaders from Mars, they both look pretty bad, and they both sound pretty bad. And in fact, a lot of times when I watch films, I put the English subtitles on just because sometimes you can't hear the dialogue, or I don't want to turn up too loud and wake up anybody in the house. And neither one of the films had any English subtitles at all. So there you go. Those are two films that scared me as a kid. Not so much now. I'll probably do another episode about this with two different films in the near future. Maybe there's a film that scared you as a kid, and maybe it still scares you, or it doesn't. Leave a comment or a suggestion down here. Feel free to leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.